get with your lawyers and make sure they agree with our lawyer that, that it's our responsibility, and yes, by lease, they have to pay it, advise them that way. Just looking for guidance from the Airport Commission of how supportive you're gonna be before we make our decision.
Al, can we have a discussion on this amongst us?
Well, yeah, sure. For our meeting.
Well, I'm not in favor of us collecting money. If Jeff just sends a friendly email, fine, because look at the mess we got with stormwater stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody will pay, or not nobody, but some people didn't want to pay. We're out $3,000 on that one.
Right.
So I don't want anything to do with collecting the money. That's not our responsibility.
Well, and I think that's what Rob was saying.
Well, I just want to make sure that
Wouldn't be up to us to collect the money. We can send out a pleasant letter or a nasty gram, I suppose. You know, just let people know that this is coming.
but I don't want to get in a position where we're going to create more bad feelings.
Well, and that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, and let's be clear, the town board is not trying to cause rift between the Airport Commission and the town board. We fully support you.
No,
overall.
We
So
understand that and appreciate that.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure, based on the comment, a rift you called, hopefully you're not talking a rift between the Airport Commission and town board.
No, it's between the Airport Commission and
Hangar.
hangar owners.
Right.
Well, I should say the occupants of the
Just
airport.
wanted clarification.
Because the stormwater created a lot of problems, and I don't want to see that kind of stuff happen again.
Sure.
So what we have all had in the past number of years with the village is we've received, was it personal property? We've received a personal property, and I don't know if it had a parcel number or anything on it, but it looked official. Right? So I think everybody paid it. So now we're going to kind of go unofficially and say, hey, this is sort of the same thing, but would you pay that and a little more to the town board? So I think we could have an issue of voluntary compliance.
I think the wise thing to do here is if you're set that you're going to pay this bill.
It's not set. Go ahead, hypothetically.
I don't think it should be, but okay. If you go ahead and pay the bill, I think the only way to do it would be to do it under a special assessment and send it out there. Let the town board do it as a special assessment, because then you have some recourse on taking it if somebody doesn't pay.
I think that'll come back to what Jonathan.
In the
says is the best way
discussions,
legally to approach this.
in the discussions that you're having with the village, I would strongly recommend that you go back to them and talk to them about the stormwater situation. I don't think that bill should be coming to the town and then be split up in the airport.
And I don't know, but that's not really on the
That's not on the
agenda, so.
agenda.
What is tax?
A special, I don't know if that's
It's
special assessment or
technically
tax,
a
I'm not sure.
Just have to-
Well, I know what you're getting.
Let's not go that direction based on council's
All right.
counsel.
So from the standpoint of special assessments, real quick. If we go through the special assessment process, there is absolutely a cost to the town to do that, to be clear.
Okay.
There is a public hearing that is required, there are exhibits that need to be prepared. We, as the then special assessment authority, correct me if I'm wrong, have the ability to add in administrative time such as collection of taxes, collection of fees, collection of whatever you want to call this, right? If we are estimating it's going to take Michelle 15 hours to send bills out, do the collections and do that, we can include that as part of the overall special assessment we're requesting.
Okay, so what
So
you're saying is because the village handled this poorly at the beginning, now it's up to us to pay for their mistakes.
I'm telling you that unless the attorney corrects me in the way that special assessment procedures are through the statute, that I believe that the town could.
I
We
understand.
did sidewalk special assessments.
Right.
I never included my time as an employee as part of the administration of the project, neither did the village clerk, but we could as part of what the statute allows us. So to the point of collections, if the board at some point decides to pay the bill, right? At that point, it's a reimbursement of taxes paid on whose behalf. Realistically, right? Like, we're advancing the payment that everyone per the lease, it says property value, building costs, whatever. We can't change your we can't change your assessment for your hangar. Everybody agrees here that we're not taxing jurisdiction. So from the standpoint of being a partner, potentially, yes, and arguing it, but we can't change it for you and say, well, we agree it's worth 40 instead of 65 or whatever. Like, just so you guys understand that, we're shepherding this whole thing along because the bill got sent to us as the landowner, and we need to figure out amongst two different boards, as well as potentially any opinions from your hangar owners on the methods thereof.
Jim actually had your hand up.
Well, I have a question on it. I'm not even sure I'm asking it right. But I'm an owner of a hangar. I can be taxed, and it's always been taxed by the village in the past. The village is still taxing that piece of property, but the property is not owned. You get a tax bill, and you have two options. You either pay it by a certain date, half of it, or you pay the other half later. Let's assume that you don't pay the first payment. Now it goes to the county. Who's in charge of collecting that money now? The county?
Yes.
Or the village, or who? So when I put this back in the county and say, it's your problem, fix it.
Hence why they're hoping to meet.
I would hope so, because I think that's pretty important.
The general timing of this whole hope was that Attorney McDonald and Attorney Ripple would meet by tonight. We would be able to discuss the findings of that as a group, figure out as a group, and then move forward on Monday and have an actual decision. But at this point, it didn't turn out that way.
But if nobody pays, now the county has a problem. Now the county may want to move a little quicker to get something done.
Well, that, you know.
Well, here's the other side of this.
That's just my theory.
It was due, the 31st, January 31st, installment list. So.
Second installments, July 31st. Yeah. So ultimately, I mean, not to give the county any ammunition, but the tax bill was issued to the town. Whether we can argue the fact that it was issued to somebody else that somebody should have been or whatever. I mean, ultimately, to that point, something to be very aware of is that the town is still delinquent in the tax bill because it was sent to the town. It was issued to the town. It wasn't issued to the 60 people that were out there. No, that's the unfortunate, what do they call it? The inconvenient truth.
But you only have to pay the first installment right now. Then you'd be delinquent if you don't pay the second installment. Correct. So in that interim time, all these bills can be sent to the individual owners, and you know how many you're paying or who aren't paying. And now you have something to talk about. It's just, if I was collecting the money, I'd be thinking that way.
Is it crystal clear that the village has the authority to send that tax bill to the county?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Now, that list of the values of the individual hangars, is there a copy in the premises? Do you have one here at all?
Yes, there's one in the computer.
Well, my recollection was it looked pretty casual, it looked like a simple spreadsheet. I'm not even certain if it was clear who from and I don't have one in front of me. I don't even know if it was clear as to who issued that, where it came from, how it was valued. I don't think there were any notes on it whatsoever.
No, the assessor gave us the numbers, and I created the spreadsheet. So no, it was just a work copy for us to
Okay,
work
so it
with.
was just a working copy.
Yeah.
Well, to send that out without even a heading on it would be, I'd be hesitant to pay it, some.
Well, we wouldn't send it out as a spreadsheet. I would assume if we're gonna do it, we will just do an invoice. Individual. They can have a spreadsheet if they want one, and we certainly would put a title on it. It was just a work copy at this point.
It's part of the village's overall official assessment. Is it not?
No, they would just have one assessment listed for, well, actually two, because there's two parcels. Overall parcels, yeah.
Was that,
But at some point, the assessor has a property file for this
He
parcel,
does.
that parcel, which would have all the individual, no different than a farm that's got 6 buildings on it. Each building has got its own square footage valuation, blah, blah, blah.
We
So,
actually have it's not a spreadsheet, but it's a document the assessor prepared that identifies each, hangar with some measurements and that will just, I didn't have a need to fill it out yet.
it's essentially the property card
Yep,
for each hangar.
It's essentially the property card, yes. Once again, it's an open record, if you want one, you can get one.
I would make a suggestion at some point during this whole thing, potentially for Monday as part of our conversation, that we distribute that to the airport commission, number one, so you don't get 60 individual public records requests asking for everything. And send it to them as a public document, as a courtesy, and done with it, because we've already given it out to people who've asked for it already, so it is what it is.
Actually, I don't think I've given it to anybody else. Yep, you can give them.
You didn't provide that as part of the assessment
I
information?
have done nothing because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do.
So
I didn't provide, no, I didn't provide any
Yes.
assessment information to anyone. I did the spreadsheet and I shared it.
Not specific to the airport, I meant we got an open records request for the property tax roll that was created by the assessor.
No, I never gotten that.
Okay.
Well, what we send them, assuming that we pay it and have to collect it, will we simply send an invoice or will we include a letter explaining?
Whatever you guys tell me to do, I'd be happy to include a letter.
I was thinking that same thing, because that coming as an invoice, that I'm assuming hangar owners would not be used to seeing, might confuse them a little bit, and
Would that
some
letter-
sort of letter explaining the situation and future changing the statute might.
Should that letter come, just a little bit of a distinction from the town of Palmyra, which is obviously yes, but should it come from you as attorney for the town of Palmyra? So it takes on an even higher level of officiality.
credibility?
Yeah,
Credibility.
I could certainly draft it, and I could say it's from me or even from Frank, right, or both, just as a, give a little background information as to why the situation is different this year as opposed to past.
Would it help, or would it even improve it further from a collectability standpoint if the airport commission jointly signed that letter with us?
I, from my perspective, yes.
How would the airport commission board, would the airport commission jointly sign that letter with our attorney and with, our chairman?
I don't know, what do you think?
I won't sign it.
Pardon?
I won't sign it.
I
Well,
just,
it would just be Al, it's gonna be myself, the attorney, and Al, it doesn't have to be everybody sitting.
I'd like to see the language.
well, of course,
All of these are only discussion items anyway, so there's not really gonna be any action taken here tonight anyhow.
right.
Does that spreadsheet or whatever it was you were referring to?
Well,
show-
before we change subject, sorry. Al, I'd like to understand going into our meeting Monday night, what the airport's commission stance on it is. You're saying, yes, you would sign that letter along with Frank. Obviously, you have to review it and all that, but assuming it meets whatever criteria you have to be able to sign it, are you willing to sign that as the airport commissioner, along with Frank and the attorney, to send to the hangar owners?
Well, like you say, I, of course, would like to review the letter. I would also like the commission to be able to take a look at it. We do have a meeting later this month.
We do have a meeting, when is that, the 26th, I think?
26th of February.
Yeah.
So if you could draft, something like
And
that.
if we have that, I'd like to be able to review it with the other commissioners, because I think that is essential that, you know, they know what's going on. We make a decision as a commission, not as an individual. You know,
Yes,
Much like we do here.
right,
we all
and if they
understand.
direct me to sign it, I will obviously sign it.
Keep in mind, and no issues with that whatsoever. From our perspective, if the commission would not, lack of approve you to sign it, that sends somewhat of a message to the hangar owners as well, so just food for thought.
I don't think the hangar owners are opposed to paying a tax. I mean, I think many people have asked, can we pay it?
And we're not, and we're
Right.
hoping they're not.
Right.
We're the ones potentially putting out the money and hoping that's the case.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there's gonna be a big objection for hangar owners to pay it.
Hangar
Unless-
owners have been paying taxes.
No argument, we're not arguing.
Do we, the penalty, is that per month, or is that the increment of payment due? Do we
It's
know
my understanding it's per month.
per month?
Now, look at something else. So, we have, to complicate things, we have several hangars, owners that don't have land leases, that made the purchase, in some cases, many months ago. So, I'm looking at, number 2 has airport hangar leases in the subject. Is that something we can continue to discuss a couple of ideas on, or is that not on the agenda?
We can discuss it till we're blue in the face, I think.
From my perspective, any hangar that does not have a lease agreement has an at-will tenant. Meaning you can have that tenancy really with any sort of 30-day notice.
Well, that's not what I'm getting at, though. What I'm getting at is we don't have the ability, names, and addresses to even send bills out to. So we have asked, and I would ask the town board, either now or at some point in the future, to clarify the airport commission's ability to authorize and sign leases.
We already have.
Did that go through? We have that?
No.
We don't have that. Well, then we have no ability to get, we have no ability to
voted on
get
that a
addresses.
meeting or two ago. And we declined to give authority or leases, sole authority for the leases to the airport.
So you're retaining that as a town board? Yes. Then how do we,
Give them the lease and let them sign it.
okay,
So what,
you really want to take that? For some, we're very good at that sort of thing.
I think where part of this confusion is the difference between executing a lease and approving a lease, right? You guys have two different leases, at least that I'm aware of. Well, sure, maybe there's 20, who cares? Well, so do I. Beside the point for this, is that if you guys as an airport commission are wanting to change this for whatever reason, the lease that goes out to a person to execute, correct me if I'm wrong, but the statute says the town has to approve the lease, not the leasee who you're giving that lease to. It is, here's the legal document binding that square of the earth that we own the land under. Once this lease is approved,
So
give it
all you need then is a copy to put on your agenda of, we have several different types of properties. So all you need is something to put on your agenda to approve, is that correct? To approve the leases?
so moving back, looking at a couple of those, I believe, Eddie Miller, when he was on the board, but he was on the commission, he signed those leases, didn't he? I thought I saw it in another signature.
No. Airport manager, as long as I've been around, has been the one that signs the leases.
So I two different things. One is that I think we need some clarification because this came up in 2023, it came up in 2024, it's obviously coming up again in 2025. Is the difference between a lease and approving the lease the lease would be the language, right? Like, here's the format, here's the stuff that says taxation or stormwater fees or subrogation or whatever. And that would be the lease to go to every single person at whatever point in time. That's one instance. The other would be the other instance of where it would have to come back like a liquor license, and the town board would have to approve the lease between whomever it would be in the town of Palmyra / Airport Commission. Like, those are two distinctly different things. In either case, right now, neither of them have happened with the lease, the recent-ish
Well,
lease.
as of right now, the way you're explaining it, the town board has not approved the language of the leases.
Correct.
Right, so once the town board approves the language of the leases, then the airport commission has authority to approve the lease between the airport and individual.
Well,
I think that's an answer we need to figure out.
Yeah, and Jonathan, we need to, my interpretation, which is far from legal interpretation, is that when we discuss this, and I don't know what I'm paraphrasing the language, I don't have it right in front of me, but that somewhere final authority or the leases resides with the town board, something like that. To me, that says we have to sign off on all the leases, be the signatory. But if that's not the case, we'd like to understand that.
No, so my understanding from the airport ordinance is that basically you would have to approve all the standard leases, and then it'd be up to the commission to basically find the tenants and be able to execute those leases with the tenant. But it's up to you, the board, to approve what the standard lease is.
So we'll approve the standard leases for the T hangar, that's one lease, and the new one coming up. Same difference, whatever. And then the land leases. So the board has to approve those leases. Now let's say they're approved. Somebody from the board has to sign the leases.
Which board?
The town board. It's written.
So that's what I just said, and Jonathan said.
So
Would you not just say
Right.
that's not the case?
No, I don't think that someone from the board would have to sign the leases. You have to approve the standard lease, and then the manager under the supervision of the commission shall have the duty of administering and enforcing all airport ordinances, leases, and agreements, and rules and regulations. So to me, it was up to the manager.
So then, we're simply going to approve these leases as a town board.
What's
And that's
approved,
that.
what's approved if not signed? Jonathan, what's
Format.
approving if not signing it? I mean,
The terms of the lease.
just the lease document, a one-time approval, and then that's not what my understanding of what we voted on the other night, but that's okay. Just have to understand what the right way to think about it is.
Would you like me to email Michelle a copy of all the different leases and then?
I
take
would
it from
hope we
there?
have those already, but
We
Well,
do not.
Lou, there should just be two, correct?
No, actually, there's four. There's actually four, because we have, you wanna go over this? We have hangar area leases, which is for the land underneath the individual hangars. We have T hangar leases, and the T hangars are broken up within, because of the rate structure we just approved last time. Broken up between the 8 existing T hangars and current tenants, and the new 6 T hangars that are not yet constructed, that would also apply to new tenants or new renters for the T hangars. And that was an attempt to raise the kind of market rates, the rental rates on the new hangars and new renters for the existing hangars, and yet segregate those people that have been long-term renters without forcing them into a sudden and dramatic rate increase, right? But then I found out, talking to Jeff, that we also have little storage areas. So I modified the lease just to take out the aeronautical use and some things on it, so that we had storage area leases for the end units that are on the existing hangar, and then for the new hangar that's going to be constructed. So there actually are 4 permutations.
What about the tie downs?
Yeah, we have that too, so we have another, we have a tie down lease.
So,
We need a few more.
so,
No, you don't.
yeah,
Unless you wanna do this full time.
so we wanna get those leases done, or what you think are done,
Yeah, they're-
sent over here.
We have a copy of all of the leases, right?
You have the
4 or 5
individual
different
ones that have been
leases.
signed.
Right.
I
The
didn't
issue
review
that
them,
you
I just
have
scanned them.
is that you have, and I look at them, you have several, and I don't know how many, Jeff, I have had at least 2, maybe more, that have been sold and we don't have current information on. We'd also like to have current information.
Oh, like
So
who's
they don't-
occupying, who's
So you
got
don't
the
know their
original
name, you don't know the
leasing,
people's, they don't have to let you know.
I know
their
approximately,
names.
I know 2 of them, I don't know the third, I think there are 3.
Why don't you go ahead and send all the copies you know of to Michelle, just to make sure.
I can only send her, I don't have these because they haven't been signed.
Oh, but you just
But I
asked
can-
if we wanted you to send them.
But I will send Michelle the copies of the leases that the commission just approved. Okay, and then you can take it from there, modify, do whatever you want.
So then, if the board approves that, then you can fill in the blank.
You kick it back to
The
us, and,
manager will sign.
right, and then you have a copy on file with your signatures on it. And that would just be a test of validity. If someone presented a lease, that you would know that you had a good one.
I'm just gonna say this after what you just said, we don't know all of them, we discussed this before too, but my God, what if there was a fire in one of those, we don't even know who to get a hold of?
You wouldn't.
Well, we know who they are.
Well, Jeff kind of knows who they are, but it doesn't mean that that a hangar couldn't be sold tomorrow, and you wouldn't know who it is.
I mean, those are all the important things from my perspective, at least at this point, they may agree or disagree, is that in a lease, even if there's the ability for someone to pass it along to someone else through sale, is that there was.
It isn't, they're canceled, they're not transferred, they're not transferable.
Okay, so then they become by de facto a 30-day tenant.
Right.
You know, like, one way,
But
shape.
we haven't had the vehicle to approve leases.
Yeah, no,
Jim, you had your,
I'm just saying, like, this is the part where, I mean, we're part-time-ish, you guys are
part-time-ish.
hopefully supposed to be even more part-time, right? And like this is where
We're all trying to clean this up so that it runs smooth. That's our only goal.
and from the standpoint of having, it relates to more of the fees for the leases than the lease itself, but it may be a wise idea, especially if you guys are looking to and willing to clean this up, is that we come up with a formal fee schedule that says ground leases are X, that leases signed before date whatever for the T hangar, leases signed after date whatever for the T hangar, and that could be an annual process just to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
We are going
what
to,
is going on.
at the first meeting of the new year, but we skipped one. At the first meeting of any new year, we're going to have a rate adjustment meeting.
And that way,
It'll be on the agenda.
we can track
Right.
whatever.
And then we can
tiered
submit
customer
that
we
back
have.
to you, so that you have a record.
A question for, I think, Jonathan. I know 114, it says the commission shall have complete and exclusive control and management over your property which has been appointed. When you say that the board needs to approve the leases, is that coming from this statute or from the ordinance?
Which statute are you referring to?
No, 114.14 for airport commission.
Yeah, what I was referring to is the Palmyra Municipal Airport Ordinance.
Okay. My other question then is on the ordinance, does that I don't believe the town can create an ordinance governing an entity located in another municipality. That's my check on that.
Sure. And was that, what statute was that, 114 by what?
This is the state statute, 114.14, that gives, commission, complete and exclusive control and management of the airport for
Don't tell the village that, don't tell the village that.
The village is sitting here.
I know.
So, what I'm getting at is it gives the town another leverage on why they should be patched, so they can handle this on their own terms. And it would help
We can't talk
them
about
out
this.
too. So,
Can't talk about that right now. It's not
no,
on the
I'm
agenda.
just saying that gives them another leverage, something, because of that.
Can't talk about it right now, it's not on the agenda.
I know that, but the part about the ordinance is the problem that it's creating. Anyway, just something for you to, more to look into.
I forgot my
So I
first
mean,
question.
does that mean that the airport commission has the authority to approve the leases?
Realistically, at this point, wouldn't that mean that our airport commission doesn't exist?
Well, the airport
And that
commission was
authority-
appointed outside of the ordinance.
Let's move on, Jim.
I forgot my first two questions, but one I have now. You got all kinds of leases. All I care about is, I don't care who signed them, I don't care who approves them at this point. My question is, do we have documentation of the different types of leases? Period. That's the question. Now, if that's the documentation, now Joe Blow comes in, he says, I wanna lease this thing, it's available, and you sign it. He can sign it. Apparently, the airport commissioner is designated to be able to do that and sign it. The town no longer has to have an official officer of the town board sign it. Is that correct?
Close, but the airport manager needs that on the commission.
You
You're
are,
giving the airport, manager permission to sign the lease, right?
We would, yes, but we would also have retained the authority to do it ourselves in case we didn't have an airport manager.
That's true.
well, then you put two words on it, the airport manager and the president or chairman, whatever. And you cover it that way. But that can be done. But having 6 different leases and 2 different hangar leases is to me ludicrous.
It works for us, that's not an issue.
Okay, it's just giving more paperwork and more confusion.
No, but it actually maintains equity with people who've been here a long time. So that was
Can't that be
carefully,
covered in the documentation anyway?
I don't understand the question.
The lease has certain commitments that you're gonna provide, they're gonna do, and they are allowed to do, right? Why do you need multiples of that? You got different people involved, you got different prices, you got.
It just made the document, the documents are the same, but very few changes. It really is not an issue, it's all approved. We'll submit it to the town board for their approval. But we've been hashing this out for years, and I don't wanna open it up again.
I think the
So
language
what is
is,
your understanding of this lease? You know what the word is supposed to be? Who is supposed to sign it? Who is authorized to sign it and make it a contract?
As of right now?
Yeah.
That's been up for discussion. It had always been, as long as I've been here, it's maybe 7 or 8 years.
Okay,
It's always been the airport manager.
okay, that was my understanding.
40 years.
Now, are we still going to go with just that, or